Every year, as Christmas approaches, the royal palace is decked out in all its finery. Every member of the royal family assembles in front of the crèche before adjourning to the throne room where their invited guests await them. The king and queen offer a concert, followed by a reception as a token of their gratitude to all those who have contributed to making a success of the year's royal activities. This prestigious ceremony is particularly famous, yet it is only one among many activities that fill the calendar of the Royal Palace of Brussels. Contemporary images from a great historical site serve as a mirror of a monarchy whose roots derive from the ancient history of the capital and of Belgium. Over 9 centuries ago, the Counts of Louvain chose Coburg, literally Cold Hill, as the site from which to exercise their power. An ideal spot, it gave the rulers a way to rule from above, and was both protected from the insalubrious character of the lower city and close to the Soignes forest, the game preserve, and the Brussels wood. For close to 1,000 years, all of the monarchs left their mark on this spot. Charles V reigned and abdicated from his Coburg palace. In 1815, the Congress of Vienna redrew the map of Europe and decided that these regions would be attached to the Kingdom of the Netherlands. The monarch of the new state was known as Guillaume I. One of his principal concerns was to build a palace worthy of the name in the higher part of Brussels, as the former palace had been consumed by flames during the Austrian period. Opposite the palace is the Royal Park. In the beginning, this garden was the brainchild of the Austrian minister plenipotentiary Staremberg at the site of the old Veranda. As early as 1776, planting of this neoclassic garden was begun with an eye to bringing a bit of shade to the Brussels residents during the hot days of summer. Unlike the park's vegetation, the Dutch grafting did not take. After 15 years of cohabitation, the kingdom split. On the 25th of September 1830, an unexpected revolution occurred following the production of an operetta not far from here at the Théâtre de la Monnaie. Once again, the winds of history shifted, and it was on this hill that the storm would be felt most acutely. Surprised by the resistance of the insurgents, one September night, the army of the King of the Netherlands packed its bags. A new country was born and took the name of Belgium. Men gathered to provide it with a constitution and invent its future. On July 21st, 1831, Leopold of Saxe-Coburg, a 40-year-old German prince, was sworn in at the royal palace, an edifice of harmonious dimensions, designed according to the taste of an Austrian prince, then taken over by French revolutionaries and subsequently by the power of the King of the Netherlands. It was also once at the heart of the power of Charles V, the greatest emperor of all time. If it was Leopold I who assured the royal destiny of this spot, it was his son, Leopold II, who was responsible in large measure for its current appearance. The monarch was ambitious and wanted to design a palace that reflected the lofty ideas he had of the royal function. Visiting the palace is like opening a great book of images, the album of a family, the House of Saxe-Coburg, who ascended to the throne of an independent Belgium in 1831. Let us now open the doors of this royal palace for an exclusive visit. In 1999, Prince Philippe of Belgium married Mathilde Dudecam-Dacot. Here the young princess is seen leaving the royal palace on the arm of her father, in a decor that is equal to the solemnity of this historical moment. During the Austrian era, a street named the Rue Héraldique was located on the site of the current grand staircase. Designed by Alphonse Ballat for Leopold II, the new staircase was intended to provide a prestigious access to the palace while respecting the perfect symmetry of its facade. To accent his composition, the architect opted for a subtle harmony of white and green marble. A 3-meter-tall statue of peace, personified by Minerva, greets palatial visitors. Anyone visiting the royal palace cannot help but be struck by the majesty of the premises. It is a palace both worthy of the function it embodies and of those who visit it. Guillaume I, King of the Netherlands, was the originator of this vast antechamber. The fashioning of the frieze that adorns the room was entrusted to the French sculptor François Rude, as well as to the artist from Mechelen, Jean-Louis van Gaal. A picturesque detail, this room is the only one in the entire royal palace to conserve an image of the Lion of the Netherlands. In another era, this was the ballroom of the Austrian minister plenipotentiary. Decorated ever since with works by the painter Patrick Corillon, it has endured over the centuries and is now the oldest part of the palace still in existence today. The Empire Room hosted numerous balls and ceremonies linked to the royal family. For example, in 1959, this room hosted the civil marriage of Albert and Paola, Prince and Princess of Liège, and now Belgium's reigning monarchs. In our time, the sounds of violins no longer resonate in this hall, but its musical cherubs have not deserted their post. The neoclassical style, characteristic of the Royal Palace of Brussels, is quite evident in the large white room. Queen Louise, who was the daughter of Louis Philippe, King of the French, and became the wife of Leopold I, watches over this immense room, which is particularly luminous. While mirrors reinforce the sensation of space, one can only admire the elegance of the gold leaf decoration that adorns the white walls. Just like the large white room, the small white room is furnished with empire chairs that were offered by King Louis Philippe and Queen Marie-Amélie to their daughter Louise, wife of Leopold I, on the occasion of their marriage. From German principalities to the British monarchy, from the crown of France to the kingdom of Belgium, it is the story of European royalty that is told through these rooms of the palace. Under the Austrian regime, this staircase, today known as the Staircase of Venice, served as the principal access for the royal residence. It continued to fulfill this function under the reigns of Guillaume I, King of the Netherlands, and of Leopold I, founder of the dynasty. Thanks to its style and the elegance of its proportions, the ensemble, in all its solemnity, suited the taste of the first king of the Belgians, who was not a man to appreciate lavish expenditures, which he considered superfluous. It was his son, Leopold II, who gave the staircase its current appearance, when he had hung there the very beautiful paintings by Jean-Baptiste van Meer, representing views of the city of Venice, including St. Mark's Basilica and the Grand Canal. The Goya Room owes its name to the tapestries that decorate it, Dance and Colin-Maillard, which have undergone restoration. The tapestries were woven in Madrid from a sketch by Goya and were offered to King Leopold I by Queen Isabella II of Spain. This very moving room, known as the Coburg Room, renders homage to the family of the first king of the Belgians. It is home not only to some very beautiful portraits of Leopold's parents, but also to several of the young prince and his son. The Louis XVI Room originated with the construction of the palace by Guillaume I. The room, which has just been renovated, hosts an astonishing video work by Michael Boremans, a contemporary creation that features family portraits of the dynasty. The idea is to integrate contemporary art within the palace while situating it within a familial context. The spirit of Charlotte, cherished daughter of Leopold I, also hovers in this space. From floor to ceiling, the Pilaster room is decorated in the Italian style. In another era, this room served as the waiting room for King Guillaume. A restoration effort brought out the extreme purity of its style. Today, it houses a portrait of Leopold I, painted by the great court painter Franz Xaver Winterhalter. When Albert I inherited the Palace of Brussels, work on the building was still ongoing. Lavish expenditure was no longer the order of the day, and the new monarch decided to keep expenditures within the realm of reason. The new king, who was the nephew of Leopold II, changed the face of the monarchy by bringing the crown nearer to the people. For many years, the Marshal's Room was used as a space for court dignitaries. It wasn't long, however, before it became the personal office of King Albert I. There is such an atmosphere in the room that one almost expects to see the king enter, ready to start his workday. Leaping through time, the works of Michael Boremans hang side by side with these intimate souvenirs of the royal family.